Hey guys, Average Scarecrow here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Thank you so much for dropping by the channel. As always, I really appreciate it. Guys, I've been wondering if my intros are good enough. I keep watching other videos and they always try to get you with like a hook, like some kind of like 5-second introduction that really just like gets your attention and gets you going there. And I always start off with the same one. So I wanted to ask you guys, should I start my videos off with like a hook, like I'm trying to hook you in so you'll watch the video? I don't know. It seems a little like, for me, it would seem a little disingenuous. I'd much rather just say, hey guys, how's it going? So anyway, that's me. I was just curious though, because I've been doing research and everyone's like, oh, you need a hook. You need to hook them in the first 10 seconds. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Anyway, guys, today the video is going to be one that I've been wanting to do for a little while. It's a how would I fix video. So I've been thinking about doing these for a little while. I'm going to start a series of videos called How Would I Fix, where I take old school champions, OG champions, new champions, bad champions, all the champions that are out of the meta right now. I go over their kits and I talk about what I would do to change their kit in order to make them more viable in today's Raid Shadow Legends. That's 2026. Now, today we're going to be doing a video on Rhazin Scarhide, and we're doing it a little bit differently today. I've got pre-recorded gameplay footage that's probably going on right now, showing off Rhazin Scarhide in a couple different core dungeons and clan boss. Now, Rhazin Scarhide, he's a Force Affinity defensive-based champion out of the Lizard faction. And when he was introduced, now this guy's like the OG Fusion, right? He's like the OG Fusion. He's available to everyone as soon as you start playing the game. And when he was first in the game, like when the game was first launching, this guy was really good. He had really, really powerful mechanics in his just overall kit. However, he's just been power crept a ton. And he does need a buff to make him more viable in today's day and age. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to go over the skills. I'm going to go over the build that I have him in, some recommended builds, and what have you. And then we'll talk about total stats and what I think, what areas I think that he's good in. So let's go ahead and start off with the A1 here. Now I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to have like still shots show up on the screen. So this is new. I'm going to try editing this. I don't know how it'll go. So real quick on the A1, we've got Bone Sword. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Has a 20% chance of removing one random buff from the target. Now that books up to a 45% chance. It's a solid A1. But for me, in today's day and age, there are too many champions that have a similar ability or the same ability where it's just better. So higher land rate, essentially. So that's all I would do for Rosin Scarhide. On the A1, I would take this from a 20% chance to a 50% chance, and I would have it book up to a 75% chance. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe instead you take it to from a 20 to maybe like a 35, and it books up to like a, I don't know, like a 60% chance or what have you. But I think 75% chance on a 3-time hitter is good on a single target. So that's all I would do for the A1. I would change it to from a 20% chance to a 50% chance, and then you can book it up from there, essentially. On the A2, we've got a single target attack. It has a 75% chance of placing a drop defense and a 25% weaken for 2 turns. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. You can book it up to a 100% chance of placing drop defense and weaken, and book it down to a 3-turn cooldown. Now, when this champion was first introduced into the game, back when the game first launched, this was a much sought-after clan boss ability. Drop defense and weaken for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown on a single target enemy made him one of the best damage setup champions in all of Raid Shadow Legends for clan boss. You pair that with the fact that he had, at the time, what was considered to be a very good buff strip on the A1, and then the A3 we'll get to in a little bit. But in today's day and age, it's not as good as it used to be. Now we have Hydra. Hydra has 4 heads, so it's a clan boss that has 4 different heads at one time. You've got, Chimera. To be fair, this ability could still be good in Chimera because it's a single target. But with the introduction of areas like Cursed City and Grim Forest, Cursed City has double bosses now, and Grim Forest, if you're feeling dangerous, Grim Forest, you can actually fight 5 bosses. You can fight the Leshen, the entangled one, and all 4 of his minions if you really want to. So it has lost value. It's still a good ability, but it's not as good as it could be. So all I would do for this one, I say all I would do, like this wouldn't be a huge buff, but what I would do for this ability is I would make it an AoE attack that has a 75% chance, books up to 100% chance of placing drop defense for 2 turns. And then I would change the weaken to another AoE, but I would make it conditional. And I would make it a smaller chance. So I would make it a 50% chance, books up to 75% chance of placing a weaken on all enemies who receive a drop defense debuff. So essentially, you would have a 100% chance of placing drop defense and a 75% chance of placing weaken on enemies who receive the drop defense. I would leave it to a 3-turn cooldown. So 4-turn books to a 3-turn cooldown. I don't think this would make him particularly incredible. I'm thinking of champions like Dracomorph, right? Dracomorph has a drop defense and weaken on the same ability, and he places it. So he's not even hitting the enemy, so you don't have to worry about affinity or anything like that at all. And I'm pretty sure it books to a 3-turn cooldown. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it books to a 3-turn cooldown. So he wouldn't be as powerful as some of the champions that you could pull out of shards, or like a Lydia, for example, who's bringing drop defense, weaken on enemies, and strength and increase speed on all allies on the same ability. This would be a much not much weaker, but it would be a weaker version of those abilities while also adding more value to the champion's kit. So that's what I would do for the A2 ability, and I would leave it from a 4-turn to a 3-turn cooldown. Now, the A3 is where things get really interesting, okay? So on the A3, we've got Bog Down. This is an AoE, decreases the turn meter by 100%. This is a solid ability. The thing that has been power crept so much about this ability is the cooldown. A 7-turn cooldown to a 6-turn cooldown. That's crazy. And the reason why it's crazy is because they introduced a little champion called Armands, right? Armands was was he the year 5? The year 5 anniversary champion who has an AoE attack, which places stun and steals 100% of each target's turn meter. So you're essentially stealing 400% turn meter and placing a stun on all enemies. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. And because you're stealing all of the turn meter, you effectively get an extra turn, which gets you back around to that ability even faster. That is bonkers powerful. And so the fact that Rhazin Scarhide has a 100% turn meter drop, it's not a steal, it's a drop, on a 7-turn cooldown, to me is criminal at this point. It's absolutely criminal. So here's what I'm doing for this ability. I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm going to change it from a 7-turn cooldown to a 4-turn cooldown, books to a 3-turn cooldown. That's it. The ability stays exactly the same. You're just changing it from a 7-turn to a 4-turn cooldown. That's all you need to do to make this a viable ability inside of the game. Books to a 3-turn cooldown. I don't think I'm asking for too much there, especially when you consider things like, Fabian having a full buff strip. I know it's not exactly the same ability, but like a full buff strip grants an extra turn. He's got turn meter drop on the A1. You've got Armands. You've got all sorts of different turn meter manipulation champions now that have turn meter manipulation effects on like a 3-turn cooldown. So I really don't think I'm asking for too much there. All right, going on from there, I've got, the aura here. So the aura is resist in arena battles by 90. Resist in arena battles by 90 is... It's good. It's too niche for me, though. I'm not a huge fan of specific area auras. I'm just not, because to me it limits their versatility in other areas of the game. Now, I don't think that Rhazin is a champion that you're going to build with a bunch of resistance. Instead, I think he's a champion that you're going to build with a lot of accuracy. So because of that, I would change this to a general use aura. I would make it accuracy in all battles by 50. That's it. I would make it on the lower end of the all battles aura, but I would make it all battle so that you can use him in a lot of different areas. Okay, I don't think that's crazy. Again, maybe I am crazy. You guys can let me know. I'm open for debating this. I'm open for you guys leaving your feedback on it. But yeah, I do think that accuracy in all battles just suits this guy's kit better. He's got buff stripping on the A1. He's got drop defense and weaken on the A2. He's got turn meter steal on the A3. Every single ability of this guy requires accuracy. And so for that reason, I would change it to a accuracy in all battles aura by 50. So give me no, not give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm not going to make any cuts. I'm sorry. I'm so used to like making edits. Real quick, I do want to talk about the total stats. I'm going to bring up the total stats on my Rhazin right now. And what I think that you guys should be primarily focused on for this champion is going to be obviously speed, accuracy, and defense. I think those are the top 3 stats that you want to focus on. In order, I would go speed, accuracy, defense. So the defense is good for survivability, but it's also good for damage as well. So he can buff up his own damage. Or you can buff up his damage by giving him defense and his survivability at the same time. You can speed, obviously, because you want him to go before your opponents to either place the drop defense and weaken or the turn meter reduction effect. And yeah, I think aside from that, if you want to go any further, HP, resistance, but those I think are the top 3 stats that you want to build on this guy. Now let's talk about builds real quick. I have mine, and I'll pull it up on the screen again. I have mine in reflex gear. So 4-piece reflex is going to give us a 40% chance of decreasing a random skill's cooldown by 1 turn. With the way that he is right now, you really need to get those abilities off of cooldown faster. So this is really the only way to do it. Now, what I would consider the ultimate build for Rhazin Scarhide is actually going to be 4-piece reflex, 4-piece merciless, because 4-piece merciless is going to give us a 30% chance of decreasing a random skill's cooldown by 1 turn when dealing damage. I also think that you could go impulse as well, which is good. It's a 2-piece set, which is going to give you 12% speed. And then I forget the exact number, but it's going to give us another smaller chance of decreasing a random skill's cooldown by 1 turn. It's a little bit unfortunate. I think those are the best builds. I would like to say that you can go like a hybrid build where you go like accuracy and a little bit of defense, but because of the long cooldown on the A3, I do think that reflex and merciless is the best way to go. Another couple things you could do. The base speed, I think you could buff up his base speed a little bit, maybe to something like 103, 104. He does have pretty low base speed for a champion of his nature with debuffs and turn meter reduction effects, so I would buff up his speed a little bit, not too much to make him like OP or meta or anything, but yeah. So guys, I think that's going to do it. I think we went over everything. Where does this guy, well, I guess I did say where does this guy shine at? I still think that he does shine in traditional clan boss. I think he's still an excellent setup champion for your damage dealers against single target bosses in areas like Grim Forest and Centranos. I think that he has a lot of value there. I do still think that he has a little bit of value in faction wars, and there are some hard faction wars. What are they called? Criteria where you have to turn meter manipulate a certain amount of times in order to get 3 stars, so he can help you there as well, but I don't think he's worth booking at the moment. That's the big thing, and because he's not really worth booking at the moment, you lose even more value on top of the value that he already doesn't have in 2026 Raid Shadow Legends. So those are the switches I would make to this guy's kit. Let me know if you guys would add or remove anything from that. Let me know if there are any passives you can think of. I did have an idea of maybe a passive where he is either immune to turn meter manipulation or it's reduced by a certain amount, right? Maybe, something like If this champion has not taken a turn yet, turn meter reduction effects are reduced by 50%. If this champion has taken a turn meter reduction effects are reduced by 25% or something like that. But that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out and listening to me blabber about this old school legendary champion. But I do wish they would be a little more aggressive with the buffs for legendary champions. They've done a lot of really good ones. I've benefited from a lot of really good ones, but there are a lot of champions inside of this game, and a lot of them need some rework. So hopefully they watch this. I doubt they will, but hopefully someone watches this and they think to themselves, you know what? We will buff Rhazin Scarhide. And if they do, I want you to remember that it was me that recommended it and no one else, even though I've seen lots and lots of videos about champions that need buffs, and Rhazin has showed up on a couple of them. So, but I promise this was an original idea on my part. So no, I'm just kidding. I do like to draw inspiration from things that I've seen other content creators do. I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, there's a lot of really, really, really good content creators out there. I just wanted to give my own kind of unique perspective on this. So guys, that's going to be it. I know I keep saying that, but this really is going to be it. Thank you so much for dropping by the channel. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.